All right, well, let's dive in. Again, my name is Marielle Starrett, and this is Getting to Know Colleges with Granite Advanced. So it's going to be hopefully a nice short session where we focus really on the two steps that help you research and then connect with colleges. So step one of that process is doing your research. So to me, one of the best things that you can do when you are starting your college journey, especially if you've already taken your SAT, or maybe you are using something like Naviance or Score or Zello with your schools, you might have colleges that are already reaching out to you, or if your parents went to college, alma maters, etc. Check your inbox, right? And this can be digital or your actual mailbox at the end of your driveway. Um, Take a second to look at those things. What are colleges sending you? What types of colleges are sending you things? The things that are sent to you via mail in your email are really important because they are marketing materials for the college. Those are the things that they view as an institution who knows themselves best as their top marketable skills, right? They're the things that they're going to use to entice you. So if they're saying like, oh, come check out our brand new stadium that we spent $5 million building, then obviously that school values athletics, or maybe it's research that professors are doing. And those are different types of schools. Maybe you've got a school like UNH that's D1 and R1 that has high research and high athletics. So looking at types of things that they are putting in that material. It's also nice to kind of hang on to some of that because you can quickly see things like faculty student ratio might be a stat that you typically see, or financial aid statistics, those kind of like fast facts, like how many students are on campus, where is campus, what majors are offered to students, what are maybe their top majors, what athletics programs do they have. They might be showcasing some of those things, and you can quickly compare colleges through that. You can also kind of get a little bit, especially if you are in a student database, an idea of the types of schools that might be looking for a student like you. So it helps fill in those gaps. We get a lot of questions from students on how do I know if the school is a good fit? We always look at fit when we're talking about academic, financial, and social fit. Those are the kind of the three considerations there. If you want to learn more about really knowing if a college is for you, we have additional webinars on that posted. Eventually they'll be posted on our YouTube channel if you're watching the recording of this, but if you are watching this live, check out that upcoming events page because we'll have some really awesome content on that coming up, as well as how to like evaluate the colleges on your list. So when you're evaluating colleges that might send you an email, so just always spend the time to open that email, look through it. I always say spend at least 30 seconds on the email, get the gist of it. What's your gut reaction? If you like it, spend some more time on it. Click the links in that email, scroll around, check out their website, things like that. Understand what is that school prioritizing and trying to sell to you. And then if you don't like the school, scroll all the way down, hit unsubscribe. That way you can kind of manage your inbox because a lot of schools will be sending you information. And if you don't have schools sending you information, that's totally fine too. You just might not be in any databases, and it's totally okay if you want to be the person who reaches out and puts your name in that hat and kind of initiates the conversation. Next tip for finding colleges fast and easy is using those college search engines. So they might be built into Naviance, Zello, Score, things that you're using as a school platform. But there are also college search engines in your Common App, as well as Big Future and Peterson's are some of the big ones that we see. My personal favorite is Big Future, but all of these are great. UScience is a tool that we use for career and aptitude exploration here at Granite Advance, and they even have their own college search engine. They have different filters and they're all a little bit different. So I personally really like using UScience as a visual aid, right? So I will look, and one of the tools on their engine that I really love is that I can see in a pie chart that's color coded a breakdown of their majors. So I can see very quickly if the school is very business heavy, if it's very STEM heavy, maybe it's very liberal arts and it's nice and split. I can see that up front. And that to me is something that was important in my college search. So I really enjoy that, especially for a student that might come and really be considering, hey, I want to go to a high business school, something like that. It's a good place to use that information. You can use multiple search engines as well, depending on the filters that you're looking for. So some schools are going to filter by financial aid statistics. Some of that might be more up to date than other schools or search engines. Some might be filtering by more class size or location, things like that. Some of the more general ones like location are going to be on most college search engines. But what I really like about them is if you know that one thing, what's your non-negotiable? And this can be anything and everything. When you're looking for colleges, this could be, I really love running and I want to be on a track team, or I want to be not only on a track team, but also on a cross country team, or I know that I want to be Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. I know that I want to study this type of biology focusing on sustainability, or maybe I want to study marine biology, so I need to be on the coast or have access to big theater stages or internship opportunities, clinical rotations, whatever that thing might be for you. Or maybe you want to study abroad or live in a communal dorm or have a single room. And those are things that are really important to you. What's that one thing that you know that you want to get out of your college experience? And then that might be something that you can filter through these college search engines with. The other question you can ask, because it can be really daunting, you're like, I don't know what I want to look for in college. There might be something that you know that you don't want. Some students, especially New Hampshire students, they know I do want to go to a New Hampshire college. I don't want to go to a New Hampshire college. You can easily filter by those things. I always encourage students to put at least one New Hampshire college on your list because you never know what's going to happen between application and decision day, especially with those UNH, Keene State, Plymouth State. If you are grant and guarantee eligible, that can be a game changer. If you want more information on that, feel free to set up a financial aid conversation appointment with us and be happy to kind of walk you through that. But then start thinking about, now that I see a little bit of information about these colleges, I filtered by maybe my non-negotiable and it spit out, I've narrowed down from 3,000 colleges to 1,000 colleges. What are the things that I'm learning about these colleges? What is your gut reaction to those again? And then how do you fit into that campus academically and financially? Nice thing about college search engines is that you typically can see fast facts again on things like their admissions rate. And if there's a different admissions rate for early applications versus regular decision applications, and then financial aid statistics. So what on average may a student be paying for this college? And you can see that very quickly. Beware, sometimes that information's out of date. I always say, especially with financial information, because it does change every year, check out your school's tuition and fees page within financial aid. That's a way to get a better picture there, as well as a net price calculator, but we'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. But use this kind of as your launching point. So maybe your inbox and your mailbox is your vibe check. You're just seeing what are the feelers being put out to you? What are you seeing back into the world? What are you kind of getting as gut reactions? Now that you maybe know one or two things about yourself, look at those college search engines. And then once you have narrowed down maybe some specific schools and you want to say, okay, I want to take the next step. I want to learn about this specific school. I encourage you to look at the source. Go to their actual website and dig deep there. Don't just spend time on that landing page, which is important because, again, marketing material, you're seeing what they're showcasing about their school, what's their kind of firm handshake. Same way that you're applying for maybe your Common App, you're putting out your best foot forward, your best hand forward. They're doing the same with that landing page. So see, what are they advertising? Or maybe they have really cool recent news. So if you have an alumni interview or a conversation with admissions, you can bring that up and say like, oh, I noticed you're building a new nursing building. When is that going to be ready? Because I want to study nursing and I'm really excited to hear about the hospital wing that you're developing. Or I saw that you had groundbreaking research in XYZ, or I saw that you moved to compost bins in your cafeteria. When I was looking at colleges, that was genuinely one of the reasons I chose the school I ended up going to, because I went on campus and I was like, oh, I can see your total shift to you have a bee club and you've got compost bins. Like, to me at the time, that was really cool. And I was like, oh, I want to be a part of a community that cares about this moving forward. So check out that landing page, see what you're seeing there. You can also check out the admissions page. So this will be helpful for you to find deadlines for applications. If they offer early admission, regular decision, any of those types of things, see what type of admission they are offering, including rolling admission, see what your deadlines are and figure out what application cycle you want to apply to and when that application is due and what is included in that deadline. So schools may be looking for letters of recommendation, your transcripts. They might ask for supplemental essay questions. They might ask for one essay. They might need your test scores. This way, when you have those deadlines, you can throw that in your college spreadsheet and you can keep on top of this school needs this thing from me on this day, which means they need my letter of recommendation on November 15th, which means I'm going to ask Mr. Thompson tomorrow if he would be willing to write a recommendation for me before then. So maybe I want to give him a week before my application's due. So I'm going to ask tomorrow, which means tonight maybe I could work on a brag sheet or practicing how I'm going to ask him politely or putting together some things about myself to prepare him for that. So looking and making a plan on those sorts of things. You can also see, you might be able to figure out who your regional admissions counselor is. That's your point of contact. That admissions counselors typically are operating in territories. So Granite Advanced does the same thing. I had the Lakes Region territory for a long time. So I had a set of schools. Those are the schools that I went to. Every single event at that school I was at, right? Admissions counselors might be that way. So maybe you go to Fantastic High School #1 and admissions counselor X is assigned to your school. So you'll be seeing them at your college fairs, college visits. They'll be probably the one reading your application. So building that relationship with them, you might be able to figure out who that is. So you can send an email introducing yourself. Talk a little bit more about financial aid, specifically looking at their cost of attendance, seeing if you can see access to any scholarships you may be eligible for, types of aid they offer. So if they offer merit-based aid, which is something that you've earned, deserved, done to kind of redeem, or if they just offer need-based aid. And then you can play around with those net price calculators, put in your statistics for both merit and need, and you may get an estimated kind of predictive what your financial aid package could look like on an institutional side. This can be really helpful. Pull that number, put it into our college financing calculator on our website, and you'll get a pretty clear picture of what your financial fit might be for that school. Also checking on that page what financial aid forms are required and when their deadlines are. So their deadlines can be the same as the application deadline, but they are frequently different. They might be a little bit later. Schools use either the FAFSA or the CSS profile. If they are using the CSS profile, they may also be using the FAFSA. So double checking what forms are needed, when they're needed by, and then getting those forms in before that earliest deadline, again, so that you are eligible for the most aid presented to you. And then for some of the more fun stuff, right? Especially if you are writing things like supplemental essays or just trying to figure out if this college is going to be a good fit for you. Take some time on the residence life page. What do the dorms look like? What are the vibes of the different halls? Especially if you're on campus, they may show you one dorm. And that might be one dorm in one building, and that's their show pony dorm. So they've made it look a certain way and they really like it. Maybe it's in the best building, maybe it's in the worst building. Spend some time. What types of clubs and activities are offered? What traditions exist on campus? Can you live in a single, a double? Are they forced triples? How long is the walk from building freshmen are into the classes where freshmen are hosted, right? So maybe you have to walk like 20 minutes across campus, or how close are you to your parking lot for a freshman too, if you can have a car on campus? And do they allow you to have a car on campus as a freshman, or do you have to pay to have that car on campus? Lots of fun little questions that you can find digging there. And then the program pages are a really great way to check for academic fit. If you are interested in, let's say you want to be the next Indiana Jones and you're interested in history, you can check out their history program page to see, okay, I want to get a PhD just like Dr. Jones. So I want a school that has undergrad, master's, and PhD programs. And I want to be able to do research in archaeology. So in my undergrad, I want to take Archaeology 101, but maybe they have classes in ancient pyramids, which would be great for Dr. Jones, ancient Mesopotamian societies, idols, etc. What courses are offered? Are they hands-on in the field courses, right? Are you taking a lab where you're digging up dino bones, or you're studying abroad to learn about an ancient civilization? Or are your programs going to be very core class heavy? So English, math, calculus, all of those things, or they don't have a ton of electives or speciality. Maybe this school, because it's a history heavy school, has lots of options because they have lots of history professors with different specialties. Maybe it's not a super history school, so there's only a few classes offered. Take some time there. Explore the classes. You can typically see their syllabus. You might be able to see their professors. What experiential learning opportunities, what networking opportunities are presented to you, because you are going to go here for the next few years of your life, but that's setting you up for even longer after that. So make sure that the resources that you need are there. And it can be a really great way to, especially if you have supplemental essays, that why us, that's a really great research to kind of have under your belt. You're like, why us? Because you allowed me to study in Mesopotamia and have a field course in Mummies 101. Like, that's what I want to do with my life. So that's why I'm coming here, because I learned about Professor X and he has this book and maybe he wrote it and I read that book in high school and I loved it. That's a great supplemental that sticks you out, right? And you say, okay, and I did this while I was in high school, and make that connection. And then athletics. This isn't just for the athletes. Most campuses have a gym for regular students, if that's your type of thing. Make sure that the hours are going to be aligned to what you need. If you are playing a sport, do they have the sport that you want to play at the level that you want to play offered? What division is offered for the school? Are athletics games really well attended, like the SEC, or is it going to be like 4 people in the stands and 2 of them are parents of people on the team and the other 2 are like, yeah, I'm freezing cold. What's your type of thing, right? Do they have 6 a.m. yoga classes? Do they have noon yoga classes? Are those free to attend? Do athletes have separate gym spaces, or is it all one gym shared? These things can be helpful for students who consider things, especially if you are into weightlifting, but you're not into weightlifting with the entire football team, double checking to see what you have available to you. Now that you know a little bit more about colleges, here is how you connect with them, right? Step 1, if you are on campus with them and you can do virtual tours, you can get on campus in a lot of different ways. This is one of the best ways to get to know college because you can really put yourself in those shoes and make sure they're comfortable ones so that you walk around campus. You can see if the students are smiling, kind of listening on their conversations. What are they talking about? What are the posters on the walls? Guided tours, you typically go around with a student. They'll start you off with a little spiel from an admissions officer telling you an overview of the school, and then they take you out with an admissions tour guide. He's usually a student. They show you around campus. They give you facts about this building and types of classes and all those things, but you can also ask them questions about their student experience, which is really cool. So bring in those questions. Hey, what do you do on weekends? What drew you to this school? Be honest. You know, they typically are wearing 2 hats there, so they are on behalf of the school, but they can be students as well, right? Then on your own, if you live close to campus, or maybe you're driving on the highway back from the apple orchard this weekend and you pass, let's say St. A's, and you say, oh, let's stop, let's take 15 minutes. You can take as long as you want, or you can take as short as you want. Just see it organically without any of those sales pitches and really spend some time. Like maybe you really care about finding a good study spot, so check out their library or see what type of books they have. Open houses are larger admissions events. They might be things like Admitted Students Day. Nice things about these, there might be more on display, especially if they have specific research labs. They might be able to open those up. They might have several dorms, maybe a dorm in each building on display instead of that one showcase dorm. Once you go to an actual Admitted Students Day, you're seeing your peers, right? So you've been admitted, you're probably making your decision. Look at the people around you. What other types of students are admitted? Can you see yourself here? Can you see these people being your friends? Maybe you find a roommate. Nice thing about Admitted Students Days and big open house events is that you may have the possibility to stay overnight. So if you really want that genuine on-campus experience and you want like a full immersive experience, you want to be there for like 24, 48 hours, you may be able to on those days, or if you're an athletic recruit, or sometimes schools will offer these kind of randomly, chat with admissions. You can stay with a student in their dorm and you're kind of like their pet high schooler for the day, but they take you along and you get to go and see what their life is like. And that can be a really interesting experience and see like truly what it looks like to be there. You may also be able to attend public events. So things like lectures, panels, plays, sporting events, exhibits if they have an art gallery. A lot of the times those are open to the public. So see what's going on in their upcoming events. Again, that's something you can find on their landing page. Next place you can find and connect with colleges is at college fairs. So these might be regional or they may be in your own school. So when you think about a college fair, it's just like that mailbox where you're seeing a lot of schools at once, you're seeing their sales pitch, you're seeing what they're bringing, but it's partnered with the admissions counselor that may be the person reading your file. So when you go to a college fair, best tips and tricks, right? Prepare well, take your time. These are organized events. They typically have a list of who's in attendance ahead of time. Take a look at that list. If there are schools that you want to prioritize talking to, make that list. Say, okay, I know I definitely want to talk to these 3 schools. I would like to talk to this 4th school, and I have time to talk to 5 schools. So I'm going to leave 1 open to chance, because sometimes the lines at these booths are long and you need to be a little flexible, and you might find your dream school on accident. So making sure you spend some time to leave it up to chance just a little bit. And maybe it's bad conversation, and then at that point you just walk away and then you get an extra breather minute or two, which is nice. In addition to checking out the list ahead of time, think of some questions you want to ask. These can be, let's call them mid-level questions, right? So questions that aren't going to be answered in a 15-second Google search, but they don't have to be the most deep, detailed, personal question you've ever asked, because this is a public environment with lots of people there. So think of things like, oh, I saw that you had a biology program. Can you tell me a little bit about what that course program looks like? Or I heard that you have waffles on Saturdays, and I, growing up, always loved blueberry pancakes. Can you tell me about some other traditions that you have on campus that you love? Think of those types of things. When you go up to a booth at a college fair, make sure you introduce yourself. So say, hi, my name's Marielle. I would really love to study Old English literature and fairy tales because of maybe this experience in my life. Can you tell me a little bit more about your program? Or I would love to get to know your school. Or, oh, I've heard of you before. I haven't heard of you before. Do you mind sharing a little bit of a pitch with me? And then these schools can start kind of blending together. My favorite running joke is how many schools there are in New Hampshire whose colors are blue and white and have a really awesome nursing program. Those are 3 distinct factors, but there are quite a few schools that check that box. So make sure that you take notes on that school. That way you have that information available to you afterwards as you consider, going through, am I going to apply to the school? Yes or not? Yes or no. Again, like I said, they vary in size, shape, organization. You can check out NEACAC has a good list of college fairs regionally for some of those bigger fairs. Or if you're a younger student, maybe you are a junior this year and you're just on top of the ball. I'd encourage you to look in the spring for Destination College. It's one of the events that we host that usually has a pretty large college fair. More on the personal side, we're going to dive deeper and deeper each level, right? So you're on campus, you're in your community, and now you're at your school, right? At your school is really cool. Like I said, admissions counselors travel in territories, so sometimes they will make stops at your school, stay there for a few hours. Maybe they'll host an info session, maybe they'll host a Q&A. They are trying to connect with students. If you've already applied to a school, don't neglect these. Still go talk to that person, kind of build and further that connection that you're building with them. It's good visibility of you in your environment. So you don't have to wear a suit and tie. You can wear what you normally would wear to school, maybe polish it up a little bit if you know that somebody's coming to your school, but they want to see you in your context, right? Because your application is all about putting you in your context and seeing who you are as part of your community, as part of your school, and who you're going to be as part of their community in their school. So spend the time. It's more of that one-on-one environment. So you can bring a little bit more detailed questions. You should have already done a little bit of research at this point. Or if it's a school that you didn't know is stopping by, feel free to chat with them and be like, hey, like I saw you run the building and I'm a little bit interested. Maybe I got an email from your school or something like that. Admissions officers in this environment are also looking to connect with you directly. So if they ever ask for you to fill out a contact card or any place that you can put your information, make sure you take the time to do that, because they can add notes to things like your file, and it helps track something called demonstrated interest, which can be a factor in the admissions process. If you want to learn about what schools are coming to your school, chat with your school counselor. They might have a list, they might have a schedule. If you know ahead of time, make sure you're coordinating with any teachers if you need to miss class or anything like that, and make a good plan to go there. Make sure that you have a strong first impression. You're leaving that confirmation or in contact information, and don't leave them hanging, right? If you built rapport with somebody, feel free to send them an email afterwards and say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Smith, it was really lovely to see you and talk to you about XYZ. I'd love to hear more about this specific thing, or connect with you at whatever else it may be, or talk to you more about, I had this club and do you have this on your campus, or is this something that I could create? Like, continue that conversation, they may be reaching out to you afterwards, especially if they took notes, with follow-up information. If they send you an email, at least say thank you back. Shows a really great relationship you're building there, and shows rapport, and that you're ready for college and that you're ready to communicate, because you never know what school you might end up going to. And then speaking of You can communicate directly with colleges in a lot of different ways. You can usually see students, current students for a college. You can see them through things like social media. You might be able to see the students who have already committed to going to that school. I know there's a lot of Instagram pages that say, what are we in now? Class of 2029 for XYZ school. And it'll be a picture of a person and a tiny little bio. And then you can look at that and it's just like an admitted students day where you're like, okay, like these are the people who will actually be in the incoming class. Like, do I have anything in common with any of these people? Do they look like they're my type of people? I found my roommate doing that. I was like, oh my God, there's a girl who I think at the time I was like, oh, she's like cool. And we have similar hobbies and we're from the same state. And I was like, oh, great. Like, I'm going to reach out to this person. I DM'd them and she ended up being my college roommate. It was really great. So you might be able to like see some of that. You also will be able to see oftentimes current clubs activities will have their own designated page. So start with that college page. Again, it's going to be a lot of marketing. And then they might have a student run page. And then from there, if you're checking things like their stories, you might see student takeovers. They might take you on campus. They might show you events that they're hosting that day, tagging accounts that are student accounts, activity accounts, things like that. You can even DM or reach out to current students or alumni and say, hey, I found you on Instagram or I found you on LinkedIn or whatever else it may be. I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about your experience because I have this thing in common with you, or I'm just really interested in this. Sometimes they're going to leave you hanging and that's okay. Sometimes they're going to respond and then you might have a great conversation with folks, especially if you know any alumni of the school, or if you have friends and family who went to the school or currently go to the school. I know a lot of college students or high school students know seniors who graduated last year, right? These are people who are just a year older than you. If they went to a New Hampshire school and you're still friends with them, ask if you can hang out with them this weekend. They can take you around, or if they have tips and tricks for your application process, because I know it can be a long one and a little overwhelming. They're a great resource for you to kind of know about their experience. If you want a more tailored version or maybe a more academic, you can also reach out to staff, professors. Sometimes you can talk to department heads or things like that, or sit in on classes, learn about maybe a research project that they're doing or a class that they are putting on. You might be able to audit a class, sit in on a class, kind of see what professors you might be working with. I like to talk to them about their teaching style and their experience, because some professors are very academic and some professors are very industry based. They teach their classes very differently. Have that conversation with them, right? Offer to take them out to coffee. Admissions reps, you can always talk to. They love an email. They love some of them love a text. Some of them love phone calls. They will be at your school, all of those places that we already talked about. So continue building that relationship with them so that when comes the time for them to review your application, they really know, okay, like, oh, this is Marielle's application. I remember Marielle. We've talked about XYZ. Like they know the full context that you can provide in spaces on things like your Common App. You could also talk directly to financial aid as well to get more distinct answers. It's a great conversation to have, especially if you've had a change in circumstances at all, or if you have specific questions about how to fill something out, you can reach out to financial aid. You can always reach out to Granite Advance. But whenever you do, just know who you're talking to. So tailor it a little bit, right? Don't use text lingo in emails, especially for people who might be reading admissions files, but be you, right? Like you're allowed to have your own student voice throughout this entire process. And that's how you're going to find a genuine good fit college for you. Because if you have every interaction with this college and you are putting on a persona, then that persona might be a really great fit for this school, but you authentically who you are may not be. So make sure you are flexible, because sometimes your schedule is more flexible than theirs, especially if you're looking to meet with alumni or professors. They have kind of weird hours, or they might be hosting classes or have research commitments, things like that. So be understanding that people might say no to you. But plan your time well, right? If you do get the opportunity to sit in on a class or talk to a professor, do a little bit of research ahead of time, especially if it's an alumni. Check out their LinkedIn page. What are they into? What did they do in college? That way you have a few things in the back of your mind where you're like, okay, prepped. Like this is my experience. This is their experience. These are the questions I want to ask. Same way that you're approaching anything else. So that's a little bit on how to get to know colleges a bit better. I know it's a lot of information. Hopefully some of these were a bit more practical tips and tricks. I want to say thank you for coming to tonight's session. If you want to practice what we learned today and learn more about our company, just like you would at college, you can follow us on Instagram. If you have direct questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm going to stick around for a little bit after I stop the recording. Or if you're watching the recording of this, feel free to put them in the comments or reach out to us. That middle QR code brings you to our contact page, which has an email, a phone line that is monitored from 8 to 5 every day. And you can schedule some of those one-on-one appointments that we talked about. And then if you have feedback on this presentation, feel free to use that far right QR code over there, which allows you to leave questions, comments, concerns, so that we can tailor our content to help students in the future, right? So I'm going to stop the recording here.